Right, I would love to touch on some non-league football now. So take you from the very top of the football pyramid, as I say, to the
Yeah.
bottom. Have you played a bit of it yourself?
No,
You haven't.
basically, I had a a short period. I went into Wildstone for a little while as sort of a football director, but for whatever reason, that just didn't really work out. Timings wise, I think they were sort of going through a bit of a restructure on the board, and they were looking to bring in a new manager at the time. So for whatever reason, it didn't really work out. But I got to sort of learn the inner workings, if you like, of Wildstone whilst I was there for that short period. But I think Wildstone as well has quite a connection to Watford, so that they used to share our ground, I think, back in early 2000 or 2001 for a little bit.
Yeah.
We sent sort of our young players there for experience on loan. And we've got quite a lot of supporters that obviously support Watford, but then if we're away, then they'll go and watch Wildstone play over weekend. So
Yeah.
there is an affinity there with Wildstone, that's for sure.
And being a bystander to non-league football, what differences do you think the grassroots game has in comparison to Division One or Premier League now?
Um, Listen, it's trying to catch up. There's some good sides in the National League at the moment, and I think there's quite a few that are even full time. So
Yeah.
the majority of them are full time. So in that respect, it's trying to catch up. Over the years, sort of financially, I suppose, sort of League Two, League One clubs aren't paying sort of the sorts of money that they used to. So you're getting a lot of players that are filtering down to that league to bump up the standard as well. National League South and North, again, you've got some talented players, and I suppose for clubs like Watford in and around sort of the catchment area that we've got is probably a good breeding ground to pick up some young players that otherwise might not get an opportunity. So yeah, it's the standard is growing, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing which I love about non-league football, being a Harpenden Town person, is the FA Cup and prestigious tournaments like that. Because you can have the small. I mean, we saw this season FC Marine against Spurs. You know, you can have the smallest teams against the biggest. From your recognition of football, do you know any ties that stood out to you at all?
Um, I remember I had a friend of mine, Jason. This was talking years ago now. I can't remember what time, but Jason Solomon, who was a player at Watford and
Yeah.
then left and had a spell with Stevenage, and they played Newcastle, didn't they?
Yeah.
They played Newcastle at home in an FA Cup, and I remember the sort of the atmosphere because I went and watched the game. I went and watched him play, and Alan Shearer came with Newcastle, so they put out a strong team. But just the sort of the energy and the atmosphere around those smaller clubs when teams do come and play, it gives the fans something to sort of get excited about, and the financial rewards that they can get can keep clubs running for a whole season. So
Absolutely.
I think we're very fortunate in this country that the FA Cup, how traditional it is, and yeah, it gives the opportunities sometimes, like you say, for those smaller clubs to play against the elite.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, you referenced the fans there. How important do you believe a community is to any football club, whatever level?
Yeah. It's massive, and I learnt that at Watford, especially, who are sort of a very sort of family orientated, community based club, and that was driven by Elton John and Graham Taylor back in the day when in the sort of late 80s when he arrived. Graham Taylor always used to go to functions. Everything was based around the community. And I remember even as a professional under Graham, we were sort of part of our contract was to go out into the community, visit schools, visit groups,
Yeah.
go and sort of visit the elderly and the hospitals and all that sort of thing, which encompasses the club. Graham Taylor really sort of prided himself on being that sort of community club, if you like, and
Yeah.
the tradition has sort of grown, and Watford still today relies heavily on the community, and now with the Watford Community Trust running programs around Watford for the youth, elderly groups, it's still a big part of the club.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, because of the whole COVID situation and the lockdowns, obviously attendances or fans not being allowed in stadiums, we've seen a lot of, especially at Harpenden, a lot of supporters of the likes of St Albans City and Luton and Watford all filter to Rothampton Park because, it's the only bit of football going on. And they've all loved it. And it's just had positive impacts on the club, which has just been fantastic this season. The growth has been crazy. Have you heard of Harpenden at all before today?
I've I've obviously heard of Harpenden, but I don't know too
Yeah.
much. Yeah, I don't know too much about the football club, to be honest with you. It was at my time in Watford, we didn't really have too much to do with the sort of the grassroots clubs, if you like, as a professional.
Yeah.
But I know I know Watford now. The academy are sort of reaching out and trying to build those sort of partnerships up again now. So I'm sorry, I don't know too much.
Not a problem at all. Well, with that in mind, we'd love to invite you to a game when all this COVID-19 malarkey, as people say, is cleared up a bit. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, fantastic. I'd love to come along.
Come down to Harpenden Town FC. Fantastic.
Yes,
I know Gary Mabbott and Aussie Idealers could be joining you there one day, so you never know.
brilliant.
Now,
No, listen, all the exposure that clubs like Harpenden can get can only be a good thing. And you're doing great things. I've seen the interviews with the other guys, and so all the exposure and highlighting what the club can offer, it can only be a good thing.
well, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you there.